No, bagger 'em up, I cautioned. No, bugger 'em up. There was a hush. I tried another stanza or two of the bawdy Aussie lyric that I picked up in Sydney Domain, or God knows where. So he broke up hungry Mawson way back in '82 and sheared 300 sheep that day, then raped Hungary's daughter Lou, and made more shillings. I dropped them at the chief's side, tempting him to the maximum. I said, I leave tomorrow. No, Tabuda, wait. I could not. I had a piece further inland where I waited to go to sell this wonderful money machine. I had to be hurrying on as I needed at least 20 good, strong boys. I had been promised them at this place where I was going in exchange for the machine. 20 boys for Makeen? Yes. Why you go further, Tabuda? I have 22. I looked surprised. I had counted heads, and there seemed to be no more than 18. It will have to be done tomorrow. If he could assure me, I would wait, but only till tomorrow. He looked again at the coins in his hand. He stared hard, as if it were a revelation. His face lighted. Halfpennies to shillings. The best deal in the world. New Guinea's first millionaire. If you're a chief in New Guinea and you have the machine to make shillings out of halfpennies, something like a 2,000% profit, you got it made in any jungle. I said, making belong you. The machine is yours. I promised him that I would take great care of his young men. They were going with me to the gold fields. They would work my claim. They would have a 2-year contract with me, and back they would come to him, home with money in their pockets. Everybody would be well off, and the tribe would prosper. Sure enough, the next night I made off with these 22 young fellows, handsome, healthy chaps. They and the 2 boys I had with me started for the coast. I gave a final stern caution to the chief not to go into business until right after the next full moon. I needed a good head start. Me go long, B. Me go along. Goodbye. That would give me 4 weeks to mine, to claim and make my fortune before the tribes in this area would hunt me down as the latest white snake needing extermination. Schooner Captain Bowen was in Finchhaven Harbor with his craft. I was on land with my big party, and missionaries were hanging around, wondering what it was all about. I casually built a fire. Distantly, in the harbor, Captain Bowen knew that was a signal to send in the longboat. We began loading my recruits. So far, so good. Back in Salamalo, the hardened recruiters were stunned. You mean to say you got recruits from behind Finchhaven? Sure, why not? The chief is a distant relative of mine. Come on, how did you fix this? Oh, I know a few missionaries, that's all. I took care of the last detail. The official indenturing of these boys to me for a 2-year period. This I arranged with the district office. Then all of us marched off through the hell of mountain jungle to the goldfields, 10 days away. Once more up and down those precipitous hills, once again the leeches, the mosquitoes, the snakes, the drumming by night, and the incessant bush. I figured out one thing that might save my neck as far as the chief was concerned. His natural greed would get the better of him in a few days. He'd experiment and make up this phony money. He'd write it off to the fact that he had experimented before the full moon was around, then decided he'd done away with it. He'd write it off to the fact that he had experimented before the full moon was around, and then decide he had done it wrong by not following the magic formula. So I hoped. This is the story Robert Michener wrote about the Mark Hellinger. This is the story Robert Michener wrote about and Mark Hellinger couldn't credit until he found out the real facts and then laughed his head off. Arriving, I set to work. I built my sulkers. My boys started cutting into the face of the ground of the hillside which belonged to Mrs. Giblin and me. We went into the vein which led out from Harry Darby's claim. I felt yellow with gold. All the boys worked at high pitch. They got up at 6 in the morning and dug till night. I was so tired by evening that I was even too knocked out for a poker game. I hit the bunk and passed out till the next morning. On all sides, there was this feverishness. The other claims going, just like mine. There is nothing like a gold field to inspire labor and dreams and get you as exhilarated as if you were on dope or something. We dug and dug and dug, slurred and sluiced. We went into the side of the hill deeper and deeper. A trickle of gold came out, but only a trickle. As the days went by and we tore up the 60 by 60 foot claim, I knew that this time the Flynn luck was somehow running out. It dawned on me that the rich vein of Harry Darby's claim cut right out and ended on the border of my claim. Not long there, but a few yards of alluvial. Yet we panned for 2 full weeks, till the earth was hollow like from a big bomb. I don't suppose we gathered more than 100 ounces altogether. I had the new moon hanging over me, only a few days away. Down by the coast, a chieftain had doubtless found out by now he had been slipped the moldy fig, as I termed it, and had been rooked. And where were the cherished young men of his tribe? I pitched in again, dug this way, dug that. Soon every square inch of my claim had been churned up. There wasn't a goddamn thing but that 100 ounces. My boys had knocked out all the greenery, all the shrubbery. The earth lay there upside down like a belly that is inside out, looking like the entrails of the earth, and all it was earth. It was the second time I was broke on the goldfield, except I still had Madge Park's jewels in my shaving kit. When you're broke on the goldfield and a cold desperation comes over you, a dream has ended. You think desperate thoughts. Half of the 100 ounces of gold was Mrs. Giblin's. I'd send it to her or deposit it in the bank at Salamaua for her. I'd take what gold I had and be gone. More than ever, I knew that my time had run out in New Guinea. The place was hotter for me than hell was for the devil. I knew that when my recruiting story came out, life would get mighty tough for Flynn, especially if the government got to know it. The chief might blow his top, come gunning for me with a tribe full of spears. It wasn't his right to sell me those boys. He could only persuade them. The old aphorism hung over me that if you spent more than 5 years in New Guinea, you were done for. You'd never be able to get out. Your energy would be gone, and you'd rot there like an aged palm. I never wanted to run over that 5 years, and now 4.5 had gone by. The biggest thing in New Guinea was gold, and I had come closer to it than most. Now what to do? No use trying to sell my claim. Everybody knew it was no good. I signed over half of it, my half, to that trainsman in Townsville who befriended me when I rode the rods to the coast. The last thing was to sell my boys. They were a lot of fellows, but they had had their bellyful of the goldfield. Moreover, they were restless, having heard tales of the other Kanakas who died there. I had no difficulty in getting the district officer to transfer my contract to a wealthy copra planter who bought them from me at 20 pounds a head. That's where I stood now, 50 ounces of gold, 400 pounds, and a shaving brush handle full of a kind lady's jewels. Yet, for New Guinea, a young fellow, this was a fortune, a grubstake, at start in the world. At night, often, when I dreamed a bit before slipping off to sleep, I recalled the curious business I had been in for a short time, playing in The Wake of the Bounty in Tahiti. I might even become an actor. I'd like nothing better than to take a flyer at that. But how did you start? That's it. Go home. Home where? Go to England. Get the hell out of here. Leave this damnable jungle forever. You got the money now, Flynn. Get out. England, it roared in me now, and I felt like a patriot, a subject of the empire, of His Majesty of the King. In the succeeding days, I made my way to Rabaul. There, through a government anthropologist named Charles Chimery, a friend of my father's, I swiftly got a passport. I was dressed well when I called to see him at his offices in Rabaul and told him I wanted to see my father. If he had known why I wanted to get out of New Guinea, if he had known how I biked that chief, if he had known how I bulked that chief and stole his boys, worked them, and then sold them, if he had known my shaving brush handle bulged with those stolen jewels, if he had known the larceny in my heart and how I felt about what I had twisted out of the guts of New Guinea, he'd have eviscerated me then and there and studied me as a specimen of what a desperate and hard man will do to survive and get on. But he was charm itself, kindly, and I got the passport. I had a day or two of waiting in Rabaul before getting away and made a last attempt to secure my finances. I went to Barclays Bank and arranged to ship off to England my 50 ounces of Eddy Creek gold. I'd have that waiting for me when I got there. While waiting around on the wharf, a proposition was put to me by an IDB, illicit diamond buyer. Many of these operated around that part of the world. Their deal enabled you to beat the exchange by converting less valuable Australian pounds into much more valuable English pounds. It seemed clear to me that I ought to better that 400-pound grub stake of mine. I held out about 100 pounds for travel, and with the remainder bought illicit diamonds. I took these lovely stones and combined them with the diamonds I had swiped from Madge Parks. I insured them, paid a premium. I wrapped them in little red wax packages to be held in the ship's safe for the captain's cabin. I wrapped them in little red wax packages to be held in the ship's safe in the captain's cabin.